Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone in the meet today. So I'm Puan Erna Suryati binti Saidi from SMK Sultan Muhammad Shah, and my friend here, Cik Nurul Ashikin binti Abdul Nasir, will be presenting to you about narrative writing. So welcome everyone. For the meet, if you have questions, you can ask your question in your chat, or you can always put out your hands and ask the question. Otherwise, please turn off your mic and camera. But please stay in front of your device. Don't go away, as I cannot see where you are. Alright? So let's start today with narrative writing. Narrative writing is in the paper 1 question, where you have 5 questions. From the 5 questions, you will pick one of the 5 questions. Okay? There will always be one question. I have a different slide there. Sekejap Bukan slide yang tu. Okay. Sorry. This is a slide. Okay, we are going to do narrative writing. Okay, so what we are going to do is to go through the narrative writing. We'll go through some mark bands and some tips to write better. Later, you will have some exercise on punctuation, dialogue writing, and different types of sentences. Okay, let's have an overview of the narrative writing. Okay, as you are going to go for band A, there is 45 to 50 marks of the overall 50 marks of your continuous writing in paper 1. Let's look at some criteria that you need to achieve band A. Okay, the first one is language. Language is determined by your grammar, where you should have entirely accurate language. We accept first draft slips. What do you mean by first draft slips? Is accidental errors, sometimes spelling errors, but they are not repeated. Okay. For next is sentence structure. You need to have various types of sentences. You need to have simple, complex, and compound sentences. Okay. For vocabulary is wide and used with precision. Next is spelling. Your spelling should be accurate across the whole range, meaning the whole essay of your continuous essay must be accurate. Next is punctuation. You should have accurate punctuation across the whole range, except for the first draft slips. Your paragraph should be well planned, have unity and are linked. You should use good linkers. Next, your topic should be consistent in relevance, meaning every paragraph, every sentences should answer the question. Okay? If we go to band B, that is 38 to 43 marks, your language or your grammar should be accurate, where occasional errors can happen. But these errors should not be repeated. Next, for sentence structure, there are some variation, some complex sentences. But sometimes when you go for more complex sentences, you will make some mistakes. Okay, for vocabulary is slightly lower than the band A. You have wide enough with some precision, meaning not every time you have a very accurate vocabulary. Okay, next for spelling, nearly always accurate. You could have some errors in spelling, but it should be very minimal. For punctuation, you should have almost always accurate. Out of many things, you should only have 1 or 2 errors only. Okay, for paragraph, your essay should show some planning and is usually linked. Lastly, for topic, it should be relevant. Okay, this is for band A and band B only. Okay. Okay, let's look at some sample questions from past years. Okay, for 2012, write a story beginning with the teacher walked into the classroom. It was the first period. If you look at the question, you can see the question asks you to start your essay with a sentence. Okay, so you should use this sentence. If you look at the sentence, the tenses is in past tense. So your writing should also be in past tense. Okay? There are some criteria in the question that you need to answer that you cannot change. Okay, the first thing is the teacher. If you ask me who is the teacher, it can be anyone, it's up to you because you are the writer. You can always pick a male teacher or a female teacher for your story. In here, the question said that the teacher is walking into the classroom. So it should be the classroom. Do not change into another setting like in the laboratory or in the library. Okay, so it was the first period. So it should be in the morning or the first thing. If you are having an evening session, so it should be the first period. It should not be the last class or the last session. Okay. In 2014, there are some changes in the SPM questions, whereas more hot questions are coming out. More hot elements are included in the question. Okay. So in 2014, you are supposed to write a story about a fisherman beginning with the wind blew strongly out at sea. If you look here, the tenses is also in past tense. So your story should be in past tense. You are supposed to write about a fisherman. The fisherman can be anywhere. It's up to you. You are the one who is going to set the story. The setting should be anywhere, but it should be the fisherman. Okay? The fisherman could be out at the sea, on his boat, or even at his home. Let's look at some example of the essay. Okay? Can everyone read the essay here? Let me read you the first paragraph. The wind blew strongly. Out at sea, a lonely fishing boat rocked and swayed in the waves, barely visible in the dim pre-dawn gloom. So the writer here has put the setting on the boat, on a lonely boat, a lonely fishing boat. Not only a boat, but the writer has explained or described the boat as a lonely fishing that was rocking. Okay, swayed in the waves, barely visible. Dim pre-dawn gloom. So it's not only about the boat, but whether the boat can be seen. How it can be seen. A solitary figure was standing on the small boat, pulling in the nets that were casted the previous night. Okay, if you look here, were casted. We are using past tense. The fisherman paused for a while and rested on the unsteady platform that made up of the floor of his weathered, battered old fishing boat. The salty wind blew on his face, caressing it like a lover, leaving kisses of sea spray on the fisherman's grizzled beard. He breathed the smell of the sea deeply. It was going to be a good day today. Okay, so the first paragraph has put the setting of the fisherman on his boat and has described how the fisherman is. Okay, if you go through more, I'll go through to the end. This candidate has written 766 words, whereas you are supposed to write only 350 words. But in order to get an A, you are not going to be limited by the words, but how you are going to share your stories. Okay? Here, I have highlighted some words with a bittersweet smile. So how is the smile? You ask again, how is the smile? It's a bittersweet smile. What is a bittersweet smile? Okay. Next, you can see there slowly, second paragraph, slowly, imperceptibly, the darkness got brighter. Ever so steadily, the great ball of fire rose in the sky, illuminating the night sky. So sharing about the light in the sky at night. Okay? If we have time, we'll go back to this slide. That is in 2014, where the hot question comes. My concern here is you must write about a fisherman. You should not write about somebody else. It could be the daughter of the fisherman and how the fisherman had hardships in order to raise the children. But it should be about the fisherman, okay? Next, in 2017, we have questions that is set with certain criteria that you need to answer. It's not only one. There are always several criteria that you need to look at. Okay? Write a story of a small town girl. So you should talk about a small town girl. Not a girl from Kuala Lumpur, but it could be a girl from Water who worked hard to become a successful chef. So she has become a successful chef. Okay? So you need to start your story with she had used the last of her savings to get to the cooking competition in the big city and continue your introduction with the sentences given. In your story, remember, she is the character, you should not change into he. And she should has a name. Do not let the pronouns linger in your essays. You should put a name into your essay. Okay? So she, who is she? You should introduce your character in the next paragraph. So here, the first criteria is about a small town girl. And then you have to show how she worked hard and then how she achieved her success as a successful chef. Okay? Alright, next, how to produce an A essays. The first tip is to improve the usage of tenses. You should add past perfect and past continuous. Like I said earlier, your story, your essay should be in past tense. Okay? So let's look at a video about past perfect and past continuous. Boleh pause tak?
Welcome to English Grammar Spot. Welcome to English Grammar Spots. This tutorial is about the past perfect and the past perfect continuous. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to form and when to use a past perfect and how to form and when to use a past perfect continuous. Now let's get started. Take a look at these sentences. I had worked before I ate my breakfast. I had been working before I ate my breakfast. The first sentence is in the past perfect tense. The second sentence is in the past perfect continuous tense. Let's have a look in how to make a past perfect. We can make a past perfect for the regular verbs by using the auxiliary verb to have, but then the past simple form, which is had, and the past participle. Remember, we can make a past participle by adding ed to the base form of the verb. For example, I had walked the dog. For the irregular verbs, we also use had and a past participle, but here the past participle has a different form. She had driven my car. The infinitive form of the verb is to drive. A past perfect continuous is made by the auxiliary verb to have and then the past simple form, which is had, the past participle of the verb to be, which is been, the base form of the verb, and ing. For example, I had been walking the dog and she had been driving my car. Now let's have a look at the difference between the two. We use a past perfect for a thing, which can either be an activity or a state, which started in the past before something else in the past. So we have two things happening in the past, but one before the other. For example, he had talked on the phone before he started cooking. Or, I had broken my leg before I broke my arm. A past perfect continuous is used for an activity started in the past before something else in the past, so only with activities. For example, I had been talking to him before I sent that email. Please note that we cannot use the verb to break here. I thank you for your attention. For regular updates, please subscribe to youtube.com/EnglishGrammarSpot or go to www.englishgrammarspot.com.
Okay. So you have seen the video on the past perfect and past continuous. If you have trouble using past perfect and past continuous, you should go to your internet and find more exercises and read more notes on the topic. Okay, next we are going to look at the mixture of short and long sentences, that is simple, complex and compound sentences. Okay, so you have simple. What is simple sentence? A simple sentence is where you have one idea or one phrase. And then you go for another one that is compound sentence where you use linkers or to connect the sentences. Like in the example given, I kicked the ball. So that's one story, an independent clause, and then you combine them with the word and. It hit Tom. So this becomes the compound sentence. How do you create a compound complex sentence where you add in another linker? Tom cried because the ball hit him. So you have used, this has become a compound sentence, and you add another story and I apologize immediately. So this is a complex sentence. You should use not only complex sentences, you should use all. Not only simple or compound or complex, but all three in your sentences, and you should know when to use to give effect. Okay? Next is the mixture of sentence type. you should use direct and indirect speech. Do you know what's direct speech? Anyone can give me ideas what is a direct speech? Can I get some responses from you? What is a direct speech? Is anyone here? Do you know what is a direct speech? If you don't know, tell me that you don't know.
Teacher, I don't know. I don't know what is exactly.
You don't know what is a direct speech. So anyone
Yeah.
knows? Afiq Najmi, do you know?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay, so here I have found some explanation for you. This is a direct and indirect speech. What are they? So indirect speech, let's look at the direct speech first. Okay, direct or quoted speech involves quoting the exact words uttered by the person within inverted commas or quotation marks. Look at the example. She said, I won't be coming home tonight. So you use inverted commas to say what the person has said. Okay. Next, Tom said there's a tiger outside the window. So what did Tom say? There's a tiger outside the window. So this is direct speech. It shows conversation in your essay. Okay. So next is indirect speech or reported speech. It does not have the within quotes or reported word to word. For example, she told him that she was happy. Okay, she told him that she was happy. He told me that he was tired. Okay. Note that the verb tense necessarily changes in reported speech. This is because when we report speech, we are talking obviously about something that was said in the past. Hence, it becomes necessary to use the past tense of the verb. Okay. Another example. He said, I'm fine. So how do you change into indirect speech? He said that he was fine. Next one, he said, I've been married for 3 years. Indirect speech, he said that he had been married for 3 years. Next one, he said, I went to the theatre yesterday. How do you change into the indirect speech? He said that he had gone to the theatre the day before. Last one, he said the show was already underway when the chief guest arrived. Change into indirect speech, he said that the show was already underway when the chief guest arrived. No change in tense. If you look at the examples given, the story remains the same. But how do you change it into direct and indirect speech? Okay? Do you have any question? Okay? Next point is to have rich, varied and descriptive sentences. Like we used just now, complex. So means the sentences used must show what you are going to tell the reader. Okay? We'll look at examples later. Okay, in terms of vocabulary, you should use vivid vocabulary. What is vivid vocabulary? It means the words produce powerful feelings or strong, clear images in the mind. When you are writing narrative, you are giving stories. You are sharing your stories about some things, some events. So whatever you are writing, the reader should have the same mental image. That's why you need to use clear and vivid vocabularies. So whatever you are trying to portray, the reader will get your story. Okay? Next is effective repetition. Avoid repeating same repetition unless for special effects. Meaning, if you use certain vocabulary, you should not use the words many times, but you should use the words repeatedly in order to get some effects. Okay? Meaning, for example, being angry, so you repeat certain words, but otherwise, please do not. Okay? Next is to be precise. Your vocabulary need to be precise. You need to show your emotions because this is a story. This is not a factual writing. So you should show some emotions. Okay? Let's look at some example. Okay? The keyword is to show, not to tell. Okay? Brian was angry. He started to yell. You should not tell that Brian was angry, but you should show. Brian pursed his lips and clenched his fists into tight balls. What do you mean by purse his lips? When you are so angry, you try not to speak, try to not show your anger, but you push your lips together with such force. Okay? So, how do you clench your fist? Try clenching your fist at home into a tight balls. So, meaning very tight. Next sentences. Try as he might, he could not contain himself. Within seconds, he erupted like a volcano. So how is a volcano? Have you ever seen a volcano? So how does a volcano erupt? It needs a lot of anger. Okay, so he is very angry. This shows that Brian is very, very angry. Okay, next look at another example. Bailey was happy. How do you know Bailey was happy? Because she has a gigantic grin spread across Bailey's face and her eyes lit up like the sky on the 4th of July. Okay, so you know that Bailey is happy because she is smiling as big as she could and her eyes was shining. Okay, not only say Bailey was happy, you describe and you show how Bailey is happy. Okay, next, Bella was shocked. Bella could not help herself. Her jaw dropped to the floor as her eyes shot toward the ceiling. Her jaw dropped. Okay, how do you drop your jaw? Means you open your mouth as big as you could. Okay, Bella couldn't help herself. Her jaw dropped to the floor as her eyebrows shot towards the ceiling. She was shocked. These sentences show that Bella was shocked. Okay, next example. She was excited to see her dad. How do you know she was excited? Okay, when she saw her dad enter the gym, she sprinted across the room, jumped into his arms and buried her head in his chest. Okay, when you read this sentence, you know that she is very excited. Last one, you do not tell people he felt sad. It is a very short sentence and you cannot describe how sad is he. Look at the example given. An ache started deep in his stomach. He turned away as his eyes welled up with tears. An ache. What is an ache? Sakit, sakit dada. Started deep in his stomach. He turned away. So he faced some other to another way. Maybe turn his back. And his eyes welled up with tears. What do you mean by well up? Well up, bergenang air mata. Okay, so his eyes well up with tears. So, if somebody is crying or trying very bad to stop himself from crying, so this shows that the person is very sad. Okay? Okay, next slide is about suggested verbs for said. Just now I mentioned about direct and indirect speech. Okay, you need to use a very accurate verb to show how the things are being said. Is it being said with anger? So if it's anger, you can use the word exploded. In red, look at the column in red, words in red. Fume, fire. So it's associated with anger. He fumed. Okay, he lashed out. Rage. You should use this word to show anger. But if you are going to suggest something, you can always go for the purple words like suggested, recommended, hinted. Hinted means giving clues. So you hint about some things. Okay? You should not only use the word said. Ali said, Abu said, Ahmad said, Chong said, Ramu said. No. So it should be using the verbs that relates to the feeling of the person who are saying the words. Okay? If somebody is questioning, so you should write he questioned in the middle. He questioned about the price. He interrogated the suspect. It's not only about he said something, okay? Okay, this is about showing emotions. Next, you need to be creative. You need to use idioms. What is idioms? Anyone knows what is idioms? Should I call somebody? Can I call Aina Masri? Is Aina Masri on the line? Can anyone give me examples of idioms? Alia Zahra? Can I call Alia Zahra in the line? Yes, hi Alia.
Yes.
Can you give me examples of idioms?
Kill two birds with one stone.
Kill two birds with one stone. Okay, thank you, Alia Zahra. Okay, that is an example of idioms and proverbs. Okay, so, but my reminder here is to do not translate your idioms or proverbs from Malay words. Okay, Malay idioms. Don't give the examiners idioms or proverbs from Malay that is translated into English. You should use English idioms and proverbs, okay? Or some idioms, proverbs that are aligned with the BM translation, okay? Next is phrasal verbs. What is phrasal verbs? Anyone? Can anyone respond to what is phrasal verbs? Ainul Inshira? Can I have Ainul Inshira? Oh, Ainul Inshira is not on the line. Can I have other participants to tell me what is phrasal verb? Example of phrasal verb? Okay. Yes, Afiq. Afiq, do you want to say something?
Hold up.
Huh? Call up?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So call up. What do you mean by call up?
Wait.
Call up, wait. Wait, is it?
Yes.
Oh, hold up. Okay, hold up. Yes, wait. So if you are saying hold up, so it should be wait, okay? Thank you, Afiq, for the very good example. Okay, if you look at phrasal verb, you can have put up, put on, put off. These verbs, when they are combined, they give a different meaning. Okay, hold up or put off. gives a different meaning, okay? It's not about putting something, it's about postponing or waiting, okay? Next, do not abuse. What do you mean by don't abuse? This is to show that if you are using idioms or proverbs, you should use it wisely according to the situation, and it should not be too many idioms or proverbs in a paragraph. Okay? Because if you have too many proverbs and idioms, it will be very unoriginal. Okay? It will not show a very fluent essay. Okay? Use it wisely. Next is accurate punctuation. Punctuation is a very easy topic actually, but you need to use it accurately, and sometimes if you are able to look into using colons and semicolons, where to use inverted commas, there are some plus points for A essays. Okay. Alright, so this is the time for you to do some exercise. Are you ready? Are you on the line?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, so I'll pass the mic to Cik Nurul Ashikin for the exercises.
Hi, everyone.
Huh? Uh, hilang dah ke yang tadi? Right, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will be taking over from Puan Erna. Okay, so my name is Miss Nurul Ashikin, and Puan Erna left you with a task just now. Okay, so you are supposed to develop this sentence, Amina is angry. So if you're ready, can you please write down your sentences in the chat box, and then we will pick some lucky ones and we will read it out. So be as creative as you can. Right. So remember, use all the points Puan Erna has mentioned earlier, and just write your sentences in the chat box up there. Sorry. Okay. Right, still no sentences yet. Anyone? Has anyone completed the task? Okay, I'll give you about another 1 to 2 minutes, okay? And then I hope to see a few sentences that we can hopefully read out and share with the rest of the group. Huh? Oh, okay, alright. We will pick some lucky participants in a bit. Okay. Alright, so I think your 1 minute is up. I will call upon Dayang Farisha. Is Dayang Farisha online right now? Calling Dayang Farisha. Okay, Dayang Farisha. Do we have Hafiz Lowy? Hafiz Lowy? Hafiz Lowy, are you online right now? Can you read out your sentence from Amina is angry? Okay. Right, the chat box is still empty. Okay, we'll call out one last name and then we will proceed, yeah? Okay, one last lucky name. Shakira Alia. Shakira Alia? Oh yeah, Dayang Farisha. Okay, you're on. Alright, okay, I see one sentence by Nur Aina Wafa. She was in red rage. Yes, it's very good. You have imagery of color to present the anger, and you have rage. You repeat the word. That's very good, right? Anyone else? Oh yeah, her face turns red. Yes, okay, that's very good. Yes, thank you very much, Dayang, for her face turns red. Okay, Nurul Rafhan. Amina is angry. Ralph became transparent as she shot me an icy stare. Wow, amazing. Okay, very good, very good. You have words that describe her anger, and you also use icy stare. Okay, so I say very good so far, and one more. Anun, Amina is angry and her eyes flashes with anger and resentment. Her mind engulfed by rage. Right, very good. Okay, so I think you all got the graphs of that. Okay, so if there are more, we'll read the other sentences later. Okay, so far it looks positive. Alright, so
Now we will go on to the next slide, which is an example of a sample paragraph from the main sentence just now. Okay, so on your screen you have Aminah was very angry. She looked at her friend angrily. She shouted at her friend angrily. She walked out of the office angrily. She closed the door angrily. She started her car and drove angrily. Okay, so that sentence, grammatically it is correct, but what is the problem with that sentence? Okay, there's a repetition of the word angrily too many times. So in a normal essay, or when your teachers mark by this point, you will get a few R symbols. And if you are aiming for an A band for your essay, you will want to avoid getting too many R symbols in your essay. Okay, because that shows that your vocabulary is a bit limited. So, how do you add pizzazz to your sentences? By not repeating the same words again and again. Is okay. So, for example, you can change the verbs, right? Okay. The verbs in these sentences are the ones in the yellow fonts. For example, looked, shouted, walked out, closed the door, started her car and drove. Okay. So those are words that you can easily substitute for other synonyms. Alright. So here is what a better essay looks like. Okay. So let's read this together. Grabbing a key, she stormed out, slamming the door close. Okay. She jumped into her car, started the engine, and was set to leave. I will never trust you again, she barked at him at the top of her lungs. She was shaking like a leaf. Her whole body quivered with an uncontrollable rage. Salty, warm tears streamed down her pale, soft cheeks, only stopping when they reached her swollen, dry lips. Her foot stomped into the small accelerator, tires squealing as she sped away, leaving an odor of burnt rubber. So, which one do you think sounds better? Okay, is it this one or is it this one? Okay, which one do you think deserves an A band? Definitely this one, correct. The second one, yes, correct. Like Farisha and Mariam. The second one, okay. So if you are aiming for an A band or high B band, okay, hopefully A, this is the type of writing that you should be working on and produce during your examination. Right, if you look at the whole paragraph, there's not even a single word of angry or angrily, right? Not a single word. Everything has been substituted. You have been given imagery, and there is another addition that we will talk about in a bit, which is a dialogue. Alright, so a good essay, a good sentence, a good paragraph should be able to stimulate your five senses, right? So your writing, okay, your essay is like a piece of art and you are the artist. You have to add colors to your essay. You have to add a voice to your essay. So how do you add imagery to your essays? Is by using adjectives. For example, in this paragraph here, okay, we have she was shaking like a leaf. When your examiners read we can actually visualize this girl shaking, quivering like a leaf. Okay. And then what else do we have? We have warm tears, salty warm tears. So we know that that is actual tears from her eyes, okay, streaming down her pale soft cheeks. And then swollen dry lips. So we have this mental image that this girl is very, very sad or very angry. You know how you're so angry sometimes that you start crying? Okay, so yes, add imagery, and then you will inshallah manage to get better marks, because number one, a very, very good essay for an A band especially, you need to engage your examiner's interest. We have to be what I call looking forward to reading your essay from the start to the end. Okay, like a good novel. Right. Okay, and then you also have the imagery, not of just not just visual imagery, which is like colors or sizes. This essay also has the imagery of smell. Okay, so can anyone share in the chat box which part demonstrates the imagery of smell in this a short paragraph here? The imagery of smell. Do you see any imagery of smell there? If you look, we have imageries of feeling, uncontrollable rage, quivered, and then we have shouted, and then we have imagery of sight, okay, sight of visual, swollen dry lips, pale soft cheeks, and then we also have the imagery of smell. Do you see the imagery of smell? Exactly, Najibah and Dayang. And also Anu, yes, correct. Of burnt rubber. So you can visualize like an F1 race. The girl really pressed the accelerator till the tire squealed, and you can smell the burnt rubber. These are the things that will add colors, that will add a lot of imagery. So when your essay is able to take your readers into its world, then it is a good essay, right? Okay, so let's see the next part. The next part of this is, before we go into dialogue, I will share a bit about punctuation. Okay, right, so punctuation is also an important part of essay writing. A dry essay writing usually use very limited punctuation, which is normally the full stop or the comma. Those are mostly what students, average students will just use, those two, a full stop or a comma. Okay, so we will look at some punctuations that you can use in your essay writing. Okay. Okay, so here's a short video of it.
Hi everyone! Today we're going to talk about punctuation. Punctuation is the name for specific kinds of marks used in writing. When you are speaking, you can use pauses or stops and change your tone of voice to help the listener understand. When you are writing, you can use punctuation to do the same thing. Punctuation can help us when we read to understand what is written correctly. Let's learn about some of the more common types of punctuation. First, let's talk about periods. A period is a dot that marks the end of a sentence. Periods are the most common way to end a sentence because they are used to end any sentence that isn't a question or an exclamation. An exclamation will end with an exclamation point. Exclamation points are used to show strong feelings, like excitement, or show that something is being said loudly. Question marks are easy to understand. They belong at the end of questions. Anytime you have a question, you end it with a question mark. Got it? Commas can be used in many places. They are used to indicate a pause. Let's see some of the places a comma should be used. Commas should be used to separate 3 or more items in a list. They are also used to separate compound sentences, 2 complete sentences connected by a conjunction like and, but, and or. Commas are used after introductory words, clauses, or phrases to set them apart from the main sentence. You should also use commas to separate the name of a city from its country or state, and to set apart the day of the week or month when writing a date. Finally, commas are used to separate quotations from the rest of a sentence. A quotation is something that someone else has said or written. Quotation marks are used at the beginning and end of a sentence or phrase to show that it is being written exactly the way it was written or said originally. The last punctuation mark we are going to talk about today is the apostrophe. Apostrophes can be used in a contraction to show that there are missing letters. Apostrophes are also used to show possession, or that something belongs to someone. There are still more types of punctuation to learn about, but I hope this helped you to understand how to use basic punctuation marks. Goodbye till next time.
Okay, so that was a short but concise videos on punctuations that you can use. So because you're writing a narrative story, you can use more exclamation marks, you can use question marks, not just limit your essays to full stops and commas, right? Okay, so we will just be demonstrating a bit of the importance of punctuation. Okay, nak guna visualizer kan? Right. Okay, so for example, please look at this sentence and tell me what is wrong with it. Okay, what is wrong with it? What is it missing? And where is it missing it? Is it correct? Yes, it is correct, but it brings a different meaning. Okay, when you leave out one punctuation or when you add a punctuation. Okay. Okay, so what is missing is without a comma, let's eat grammar. It means that you are basically going to eat your grandmother. Okay, so you probably have become what you call I'm not sure. Okay, so definitely I don't think anyone will want to eat your grandmother. So what you have to do is
uh, that you are trying to convey in your, what you call, in your writing. Okay, and also to some point, punctuation also adds a voice to your essay. For example, exclamation mark shows that you are probably surprised or you're probably angry, okay, because you cannot like literally put in a voice. Okay, it's not like your examiners open your essay or open your paper and they can hear your anger. So we'll have to be able to see and understand your words and the emotion that you're trying to convey. So some ways that you are going to show your emotions in your essay is through not just vocabulary, for example, angry, furious, not just that, but also through punctuation. Okay, right. So next, that's about punctuation. Do you see the screen? Is there anything on the screen? Okay. No, not yet. Okay. All right. We give some time to our technician to sort this problem out. Yeah. Okay. So far, is everyone okay? Is everyone well? Do you have any questions so far while we wait for the technician to sort out this small glitch? I hope everyone is in good health and high spirits. Yeah. Invite now. Alright, also if you notice, okay, I'm sure you all have your class chat groups and group chat groups. Can you please invite or what you call, pujuk remind your friends who are not here with us to join our next sessions, okay? For English, we have another 2 sessions tomorrow and the next day. So please, I hope nobody misses out because the PPD has graciously put together a team of experts, okay, to help you out. So I hope nobody misses this chance and also other subjects, right? So please remind your friends who are not here. You can actually see that we have only 27. There should be 43 students alone. Okay, 43 students alone. That's not including the teachers and the office.